Hi, I hope you can hear me over the wind outside. Today, oh, yeah, out of focus. Today I want to talk about something very personal to me. I am a person who lives with mental illness. I developed bipolar disorder at a very young age. Most of my childhood was stolen from me by the deepest, darkest depression that I can't even describe to you. There really are no words for what it felt like inside my head. My first suicide attempt was at 8 years old. Luckily, the jump rope was weak and I didn't know how to tie a noose. I was finally properly medicated my senior year in high school. It's hard to medicate a child because their brain chemistry is always changing until they've finished with their adolescence, puberty. Once I got my bipolar disorder under control, I felt completely normal, was totally myself. However, the problem around my sophomore year in college became panic disorder, which is a mental illness that is frequently only developed as an attachment to other mental illnesses or traumas. Panic disorder, which developed into agoraphobia, means that you're always afraid and you're not sure what you're afraid of. There isn't really a source for the fear. But if you've ever been in a car accident, the feeling you get right before you crash is the feeling that I live with almost every day. The feeling that I need to flee, that something is terrible is going to happen, but there's nothing to flee from and there's nothing to be afraid of. And you can't put the blame for your fear on anything. There's nothing there to run away from. I was eventually prescribed Klonopin for my panic disorder, which made it not completely go away, but it made it so I could live my life, so I could function in the world. Recently, I have developed a tolerance to the Klonopin. I am now unable to leave my house. I sleep most of the day because I don't have panic attacks when I'm asleep. And when they come, I spend most of the day waiting in fear of the next attack. And when the attack comes, I'm flooded with adrenaline. I shake, my heart palpitates, I get short of breath, my palms get sweaty, I get dizzy, I get incredibly nauseous to the point where I'm absolutely sure I'm going to throw up, but I never actually do. I basically lock myself up in my bathroom until the feeling that I'm going to throw up goes away. And then usually go to sleep. Because the attacks are exhausting. I can have about 3 attacks a day is, I think, my maximum. And the attacks can last anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. On average, with most people, attacks don't last more than 20 minutes, but I have a very severe case. But I'm going to see a new psychiatrist on Thursday, so hopefully this can be fixed. The reason I'm making this video is not to get anyone to pity me or anything like that. The reason I'm making this video is for other people out there who have mental illnesses. People who are living with bipolar disorder, depression, panic disorder, anxiety, people who feel like this is something they should be ashamed of. It's not. Your brain is simply producing chemicals in situations where the chemicals aren't called for. Whenever you cry and you don't know why you're crying, whenever you feel hopeless and helpless and like nothing is ever going to be good again, like you can't remember what good feels like, you can't even imagine good anymore, and you get to that point where you feel like you want to end it, don't. Because just because you can't remember what good feels like, and just because you feel like it's not coming back again, doesn't mean it's the truth. You can feel that way, but know logically in your head that this is temporary and it will pass. And a permanent solution to a temporary problem is never the way out. All mental illnesses are treatable through medication and therapy. They'll be there for the rest of your life, but they are manageable. And you can live a good life and be happy. Know that. In your deepest, darkest hours, know that happiness is coming back. Even if you can't imagine it. Just logically know it. And don't take the pills you're thinking about taking, or cut yourself, or hang yourself, or jump from a very high place, or whatever you're planning on doing. Don't do it. Because happiness is coming back. I just want people out there living with any kind of mental illness to know they're not alone. And to know that you can live a very normal, very successful life with a mental illness if you treat it. If you go out, seek psychiatric help, if you'll accept that this isn't a personal weakness that you have to fight all on your own. Accept that this is an illness like any other illness, like diabetes or high blood pressure, and that there's medication to treat it. Being afraid of medication is a cultural misnomer, and thinking it's going to brainwash you, or thinking it's going to drug you or tranquilize you, it's all not true. It's just going to make you be able to be yourself. Not taking an antidepressant or a mood stabilizer or an anxiety reducer because you think that's somehow giving in or making you weak, is as ridiculous as not taking insulin if you have type 1 diabetes or not putting on a cast if you break your leg. You have no reason to be afraid of a cast or insulin, just as you have no reason to be afraid of an antidepressant or a mood stabilizer or an antipsychotic or an anxiety reducer. There is no reason to be afraid of any of these things. They won't change who you are. They're just something that will fix a disease that you have. Once you accept that this is a disease and it's treatable, you can start being yourself again, living your normal life. Stop hiding away in your room. Stop feeling so darkly sad and hopeless and not knowing why. But basically that's the reason I made this video, is to let you know you're not alone. Statistically, 1 in 3 adults suffers from a mental illness. And it's all about treating it and removing the stigma that society has put on the mentally ill. Being bipolar doesn't mean I'm dangerous. It doesn't mean I'm going to hurt you. It doesn't mean I'm liable to fly off the handle at any moment, because I'm medicated. Having panic disorder does mean that I can withdraw from social situations sometimes, and I can seem like I'm flaking on you or not being there for you, because I have intense fear of everything. But once I'm properly medicated, I'm gonna go out there and live my life. I'm gonna go out and see my friends. I'm gonna go back to Dungeons and Dragons night. I'm gonna beat this. I'm stronger than this. And I'm better than my disease. And you are too. So just remember that there is always hope, even when you can't see it. That's all for this video. Have a good evening. And I hope that if you have a mental illness, this has given you confidence and hope. And if you don't have one, it's educated you as to what mental illness is. Good night.